If you're looking for me, you can find me. Pimpin', getting riches, grinding. And ain't no use in even trying me. 45 piece beside me. Now let the church say amen again. Church say amen again. Church say amen again. Purse first, ass last, get your bag and win.
What's going on, people? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's your boy, Coach Emmanuel Moore. Y'all know me. Y'all know what it is. Bringing you another episode of the MooreLife podcast. Today's episode is going to be a little different. I've got a couple requests. I'll say requests. People hit me up and saying, yo, bro, tell the people who you are. Tell them your background, where you came from, and, the reason of your podcast. And so today's episode basically is going to be me just talking about my life, my struggles, my achievements, what I've overcome, and the reason behind this podcast. Crazy part about it is I don't even know where to start, right? Man, I could start anywhere, but man, I'll just say originally from Ashtabula, Ohio, right? That's a little small town in Northeast Ohio. Back then, population might have been 18 to 20,000, something like that. It's probably a little less, right? Grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas. My dad moved us there. We was around 7, 8, 9 years old, something like that, man. Grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas, man. I will say I'm an 80s baby. And what I mean by that is, man, I feel that 80s babies are the last of a dying breed, right? I feel like we're that last generation to get the village. You know what I'm saying? J. Cole said in one of his songs, you know what I'm saying? He feels like he's big brother and little brother at the same time. That's us, 80s babies, man. I feel like we're the ones who are still kind of raised hard, unfortunately. I feel like we're the ones who had parents who, I'll say, raised us in structure, but also raised us in chaos and trauma, unfortunately. But we had that village where grandmas, grandpas, aunts, uncles, older cousins, neighbors, they were able to watch us, not only watch us, teach us, not only teach us, discipline us, right? We had that village where if you messed up at such and such house, you got in trouble over there, and when you made it home, you got in trouble for messing up at this person's house, right? That thing. But not only that, not even about the messing up, the love, we were raised in, I'll say love, but it was a different type of love, right? It was a struggle love, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids might be at your aunt's, uncle, grandma house at one time. You spending the night, you sleeping, you living, you eating. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna make sure you get a bath, bed. They're gonna make sure you get fed as well. Might not be something great, but it's you're gonna eat, you're gonna be taken care of, you're gonna be looked after, So that's what I mean by we're the last of that dying breed. And of course, like I said, we were raised in trauma, right? We had those parents who, some of us, not all, some of us had those parents who didn't know how to be parents. They did the best they could, but they didn't really know 100% of what they're doing, right? They were still maybe in the streets, maybe selling drugs, smoking drugs, drinking, you know what I'm saying? Doing all types of things, even probably going to work while in the midst of doing all of that. So we didn't have that full figure, I guess, of being in a good, calm, structured household, especially for us boys, at that time, 80s babies, boys, even 90s kids, we were raised to not cry, to be hard, to be strong, so only emotion we really ever showed was anger, those type of things. We were kind of raised hard because, again, our uncles, our fathers, they didn't know how to be nurturing. They didn't know how to be caring. It was, man, you a boy, get yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going. Those type of things. So I guess I'll start there, man. I'll say that, so that goes into my background. 5 brothers and sisters. Well, I grew up. It's a family of 5. My daddy had 5 kids. 4 boys, 1 girl. 5 of us. I'm the baby of the bunch. And a lot comes with being the baby of the bunch in my family. Unfortunately, a lot comes with that for me. Me and my siblings weren't raised in the same household. Me and my sister were. My other brothers grew up in Ohio, but at one point in our lives, you couldn't tell that we weren't raised in the same household. It was just love. It was just togetherness. Unfortunately, right now, January 2024, we're not there anymore. God willing, one day maybe we'll get it back. If not, oh well, it's a part of life. Um, so like I said, I'll start there, man. Me and my sister were raised in the house together with my mom and my dad. And we were loved. We were cared for. My daddy wasn't the best father, but he did the best he could, right? He had a lot of trauma himself that he had to go through and experience and grow through. But he did the best he could with being our father. You know what I'm saying? He did the best he could with trying to make sure that his family, his household was taken care of. He did the best he could with, I always tell people this, we always got what we needed and not what we wanted. We got some things we wanted, but my dad made sure we had everything we needed. Lights, water, gas, clothes, shoes, the necessities, food, all that. But then, what we wanted, toys, video games, bikes, we got some of what we wanted, but my dad made sure we had what we needed. So for that, with him, I'm always, forever grateful, forever thankful because, he showed us, things, and then seeing him grow. Like a lot of people see their parents go from certain areas in life. I see my mother and father come from certain areas in their life, whether they were doing drugs, drinking, smoking cigarettes, whatever, to being who they are today, and that was a process that we went through with our family, with our parents, a growth process for all of us. So to see where my family is today, my parents, especially my father, is a great thing because at one point in time, um, I'm not gonna say he wasn't a good man, but at one point in time, he wasn't what we needed. You know what I'm saying? Growing up, but life grew him to be everything we needed. Um, so yeah, my father raised us hard. He raised us the best he could. We were raised hard, we were raised tough, things like that. My father made a drastic change in his life, man. One day meeting our pastor, Michael Lee Perkins. And my father ended up changing his life when he met this man. I remember my dad saying that when he met our pastor, and my pastor basically was looking in the mirror. Everything he saw my father was basically who he used to be, who he was. And we ended up, of course, going to that church, which is New Hope Baptist Church. Of course, I'm no longer there because I reside in Texas, and my pastor's no longer there because, of course, he passed away. And the crazy part is today's his birthday, right? So happy birthday, Pastor Perkins. May you rest in peace. But he helped my father change. He helped my father grow. My father went from being a deacon in the church to a minister in the church to growing to being a pastor of his own church. So God and surrounded my dad with people who he needed to help him grow, to help him be better for himself, and also to help him be better for us, right? But me, let's talk about me now. Is what you would call not a troubled kid or a troubled teen. I was a kid who decided to get in trouble, right? At one point, I was somewhat like a troubled kid. My father wasn't really there those first few years of my life. My mom was still trying to find her way and who she was, right? But when they got it together, I no longer was that troubled kid. I became a kid who decided to get in trouble. And what I mean by that is at one point, we had everything I guess we needed in life, a roof over our head, clothes to put on our backs, food on the table, and some of the things we wanted, like I said before. But I was a kid who decided to get in trouble. I talked back to teachers. I got into fights. At one point I tried to be the class clown. Those type of things. And that caused for me to go through some experiences in life that I didn't have to go through because I didn't want to listen to my father. I didn't want to take heed to certain things that he was telling me because I just couldn't see the bigger picture. So that's what I mean. Like I made good grades, when I applied myself. When I didn't apply myself, of course, I made bad grades. I was an athlete. When I applied myself, I could have been one of the best out there. Boxing, track, football, good in all sports that I played, but did I give my all in every sport? Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. That was more of a laziness in me, meaning I knew I was gifted. I knew I had the talent, but I didn't work with the talent. I didn't want to get in shape, one of the best boxers out there you could ever see as a kid, right? But my laziness in the gym, would have me in fights where I'm the better fighter, but I'm sitting here getting in a close fight or even getting beat by a kid that I'm 10 times better than. So that's what I mean by that. Track as well, football as well, apply myself at times, had moments where it's like, oh my God, this kid can play. Then had moments like, man, what you're out there doing, those type of things, man. But yeah. So like I say, man, a lot of those choices that I made with wanting to, get in trouble and things like that caused me to have one big drastic change in my life. I was 16 and I caught a robbery charge. I didn't really commit the act, but I was there and I didn't stop it. Should have stopped it. Kind of scared, if you want me to be honest. Was kind of scared because I didn't really expect what happened and what went on to really be what was happening and what was going on. So long story short, I took a plea bargain for a 15-year sentence, man. My lawyer was crap, didn't do too much for me. My first real juvenile act. Got a 15-year sentence in the Arkansas Department of Corrections. Got locked up when I was 16. I walked through those prison gates when I was 17 years old. Now I know what you're thinking. 17 in prison. Man, what was it like? What did you experience? What did you see? I will say prison made me and it broke me. And I tell people all the time, prison can make you or break you. And it made me and it broke me. And what I mean by that is it made me grow to who I am now, right? It made me appreciate my family, my friends. It made me appreciate life. But when I say it broke me to the point it's like, I can't come back here. I have to do whatever I can to stay out of this place. This is not a place that I want to be in. This is not a place that I would wish on any man, even though I feel like it's people that deserve to be in prison. This is not a place that I would wish on any man. So that's what I mean by it broke me. Like it made me realize, almost like a life and death situation. Like it made me realize, if I keep getting in trouble, if I keep doing stupid things, I could be here the rest of my life. Or when I get out, change my mindset, change my thought process, do something with myself, not hang around people who mean me no good and grow in life, And so that's what I mean by it made me or break me. I will say, man, I seen some messed up things in prison, man. Fights, people getting choked out, dudes getting shanked, stabbed, hit with locks and socks. Nobody ever tried me because, like I tell people, man, in prison, man, it's all about how you present yourself for the most part. You come in there, loud mouth, thinking you tough, hollering, somebody gonna try you. And they gonna see if you about that business. For the most part, if you come in mellow head, not messing with nobody, and trying to deal time, ain't nobody gonna test you. Now, granted, you have some people that if they see that you're weak or that you need something and they can be a pushover, they gonna jump on you. I didn't have those issues. Number one, because I could fight. And number two, I didn't come in bothering nobody. But I'm thankful for this, but I hate I had to see it this way. What I mean by this statement here I'm finna say is my uncle gave me a breakdown of what prison is like. He did 10 years in prison and we had to go visit him, and write him and talk to him on the phone and things like that. But he gave me a breakdown of what prison life was like, and kind of prepared me for, not saying that I was going to go, but prepared me for, These things can happen if you do A, B, and C. You need to go in here with your head up high. You need to go in here, trying to read books, trying to educate yourself. You don't need to go in here, trying to be on that gang stuff. Don't need to go in here trying to be on that tough talk, because people will try you. And either you're gonna be able to fight back or you ain't. Or even if you fight back and you beat this person, they might come back with 3 or 4 more people. So that's what I mean by that. So when I went in there, man, I'm not gonna bother nobody. I'm gonna take care of me. And that's that. Yeah, I got into a couple fights in there, beat some dudes up, lost a fight in there. Not gonna lie, lost a fight in there before. Before the main part, dudes knew I was gonna fight, but I ain't that, like I said, I didn't really carry myself like I was too tough or anything like that. Like, if you talk junk to me, I'm gonna talk junk back type thing, but I'm not gonna, go out my way to bother you, mess with you, none of that. So my time there, like I said, I did 4 years and 2 months in prison. And so my time there, I educated myself. I got my GED. I started college courses there. I read books. I really tried to free my mind while I was in there. And thank God for my family. Thank God for my friends who visited me, wrote me letters and things like that, and accepted those phone calls, because that helped with my mindset. But then also I grew my relationship with God there. And like I tell people, it was a reason why I went to prison, and I see that now, I understand it, because I was getting out of hand as a kid. Like I said, I made good grades here and there, got in trouble in school, played sports, was good at it. But I was starting to head down a road that I shouldn't have been going down. Trying to sell weed. Homeboy had just sold me a gun, getting into fights with Crips, getting into fights with some folks, uh, just getting into it with people, man, that I had no reason getting into it with, right? Fighting with my homeboys that they was in fights. I had some homeboys that's bloods. Used to call myself a blood. Hung with them, put in work with them, fought with them, all that, and put myself in those situations, to now, who are they beefing with is beefing with me because I'm helping them, right? So that's why I said I was headed down, the wrong road. And this was a moment for God to pull me in. Yes, it cost me 4 years and 2 months of my life, but this was a moment for God to pull me in and say, hey, you keep continuing down this track, this might be your forever home. Or it's time for you to grow. It's time for you to learn. It's time for you to educate yourself. It's time for you to build yourself. It's time for you to believe in yourself, and it's time for you to know who I am. So like I say, in that portion, I grew my relationship with God. Read my Bible every day, prayed every day, then I got out December 1st, 2006, when I was 20 years old. And from that moment on, right then and there, when I got out, it was, I got to do something with myself. Got myself in college, educated myself. I went through the process of, getting a job, losing a job, couldn't find a job, because honestly, life as a felon is hard. Real talk. Life as a felon is hard, man. You have jobs that won't hire you because of your felony, just point blank, period. And life as a felon is hard, number two, because like I said, you have some jobs that won't hire you, but then you go to all these temp agencies and temp services and things like that, and they only have a handful of jobs for people with felonies on their record, right? And so if you don't get one of those jobs, you basically on a waiting list, or you got to go to another temp service and see what you can find, or one of those temp services where they give you work for the day. I said at a temp service like that for 3 days, where I waited for them to find a job for the day and give it to me, and I never got a job, never got called for a job, and I sat in that office 3 days and said, man, I can't do this no more, so it gets hard. And of course, what comes with that, right? You start stressing out. You got bills, right? Lights, water, gas, phone, Wi-Fi, whatever, you got bills. And when you get in that situation to where your bills outweigh the money in your pocket, what do? You get down to yourself. What's your next thought process? I got to get it by any means. So that sends people to do what? Back into the streets to do what they were doing to get them in trouble before, whether that's prostituting, whether that's selling drugs, whether that's breaking in somebody's home, whether that's robbing somebody at gunpoint, that gives a person that mindset to, man, I gotta get it by any means. So that's what I mean by life as a felon is hard. Like a lot of people out here are felons and they don't try, but you have many felons out here that are really trying and trying, and sometimes they don't get a break. I unfortunately went through that, but thank God I was able to get a break here and there. Like I said, thank God I was able to put myself through school. So I got school checks to help me take care of some bills. I got a job, here and there, and things like that too, to where you look at me now. I have my bachelor's degree. I have a couple certifications behind my name. I have my own coaching business that I started. And now I'm working on my podcast as well. But that was a process, a day-to-day, not giving up, believing in God and believing in yourself. No matter how many denied emails you get, no matter how many people tell you that they're not gonna hire you, because I had people playing in my face telling me they're not gonna hire me. I had a lady wanting to hire me so bad for a job. And she said, listen, I know that on this application, it states felony conviction does not bar you from employment. She said, but if you click that box and I hire you today, she said, within 2 to 3 weeks of you working, they're going to let you go because that is a red flag in their system. And she said, man, I do not want to play with you like that. I do not want to, play with you like that because I know you have a livelihood. And I respect that woman for telling me that, a Black woman. What was it? At City Trends. Was it City Trends? Yeah, it was City Trends, a Black woman. She told me that. And she didn't have to. And she was like, man, you seem like a real respectable young man. You seem like you're really trying to do something with yourself. And I do not want to play with you like that. Like, I wish I could hire you, but I can't, And that's just what it is, man. Sometimes you're going to go through that. But even in the midst of that, you got to remember who you are. You got to remember whose you are. And you got to continue to push forward and keep focusing, man. Let's just be honest. I had days where I was sleeping in the house with no lights and water, or I was sleeping in the house with no gas and lights, but I had water. You know what I'm saying? Or I was sleeping in the house with no gas and water, but I had lights. Like, just being honest, like a lot of people don't know that. Like a lot of people don't know, I had all three cut off at one point in time. So I had to take showers at my godmama house or a cousin's house, or a homeboy house, or let's be honest, I had to take a shower in the bath, or wash up before in a gas station bathroom. You know what I'm saying? But that's me. That was my pride. That was me not wanting to ask for help, in those situations, because I'm gonna tough it out by any means necessary. And I thank God that I was able to tough it out. He was able to send people to me that would, be a blessing in my life. He sent me to the right jobs, that will say, you know what, I'm gonna take a chance and I'm gonna hire you. And that's, that was my progression story, of not turning back, because I had a point where I wanted to turn back. I had a homeboy I called and I was like, bro, I need you to put me on, man. And he was like, what? I said, bro, I have no money. I got bills. I'm in a negative in my account. I'm behind on my bills like 2-3 months. I need some money. And I love this boy to this day. My best friend, Chris. And he probably don't even remember it. But he was like, bro, if I put you on and you go sell to a narc or undercover cop and you go back to prison, that's going to be on me. And I said, no, man, it won't be. But he was like, no, that's going to be on me because I put the drugs in your hand. He said, man, I can't do you like that, bro. I can't do you like that. I can't have you mess your life up, you know what I'm saying, for some quick cash. And I understood it and I respected it. And so I ended up getting called for 3 interviews, right? I didn't have no gas in my car. This is how I know God is real. Well, many reasons, but this right here too. No gas in my car. My car is on E. I had 3 interviews: North Little Rock, West Little Rock, and like somewhere else, Cantrell, somewhere out there, Chenal, out there. I made it to all 3 of those interviews and back home on E. I don't know how I did it, because guess what? The next day I tried to start my car, it did not start. I had to go get a gas can and fill it up to fill that car up. But I was able to make it to those interviews, and a week later, one of those jobs called me back, and I ended up starting to work. And that was in my process of getting down on myself and wanting to give up and doing whatever by any means, because it's like I got all these bills. I'm going to see my PO. I'm doing everything right in my mind, but things aren't still going that way. And so now you look at me now, about to be 38 years old in 2 days. Matter of fact, birthday January 11th. Man, thank God I get to see that day. This is reasons for my podcast. I want to outreach people about life, everyday struggles of life, the good, the bad, the ugly of life, because I've experienced it, and just talk about real life situations. Sometimes we may dive into politics, sometimes we may dive into religion, but just talking about real life situations of how we overcome, how we can overcome, how we did overcome, and how we continuing to live our lives, how we continuing to grow ourselves, grow our relationship with our families, or grow our relationship with God. So that's the main reason, for this podcast, is just to outreach everyday people that are going through everyday struggles in life and helping them navigate through it, helping them to see that there is a light at the end of their tunnel. Psalms 23, it states, yea, though I go through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff cover me. And I tell people all the time, it never states how deep that valley is or how long that valley may go, but it says, for thou art with me, meaning God is with you. You know what I'm saying? He's walking with you. He's carrying you through this process. Yeah, it might look ugly today. It might even look ugly tomorrow. But you keep believing, you keep praying, you keep having faith, and you look up, and guess what? That sun is starting to shine, and you looking back at that dark cloud like I overcame it, like I've made it out. I've done better with myself, and that goes with anything we're experiencing in life, whether that's having troubled kids, having to deal with our own personal trauma, having to deal with jobs, having to deal with us going through school and educating ourselves, having to deal with even if us starting our own business. There's always trials and tribulations in life. And I want to be able to reach the people so they hear a voice of someone who's been there just like them and has overcame and is still trying to overcome, because I'm not perfect. I'm a man of many mistakes. I'm a man who still, falls short at times, but I pick myself up, I keep believing, and I keep going. Somebody asked me one day, what is the difference between failing and a failure? And I brought him back to a story I heard. And this guy was talking, and he said, man, failure is when you wake up in the morning, you have your blinds open, the sun is seeping through. You get up, you close those blinds, you close those curtains, and you get back in the bed and you roll over and you lay and you soak in your mess. That's a failure. He said, failing is okay. We messed up, we fall down, we pick ourselves up, we learn from our mistakes, and we keep going. Failing is okay. Failing is a part of life. So many of us are afraid to fail because we think once we fail, that's the end. But it's not. We learn from where we failed at. We learn from what we did wrong. We learn from that mistake, and we grow from it, and we keep going forward. Failure is when we seen we messed up and we just say, man, forget it, and that's that. We give up. That's a failure. We're giving up. We land in it. We're not trying anymore. And I want to be a voice to people, to tell people to keep trying, to keep believing. Don't give up, even when it seems hard. And trust me, I've had many dark days, many dark days. I thought about killing myself not too long ago, like 2 years ago. I haven't really told too many people this. Don't know why I'm telling it now. I guess just because I'm flowing. But I thought about killing myself. Like literally, I got up, got in my truck, went riding around. And I went to the middle of nowhere, just some backwoods, got my gun out, put it in my lap. And this is another reason why I know God is real. My homeboy, Avery Campbell, out the blue, just called me. He just called me out the blue. It was a Sunday morning. Bro, what you doing? Nothing, man. What's up? You all right? What's going on? You going to church today? And just talking to him, just talking to him helped me not do what I was going to do. At that moment, I didn't tell him what I was feeling or what I was thinking. But we talked, we laughed, and then we got off the phone. But that's always with me and him. I'll call him because I'll feel it in my spirit. I need to give him a call. And he'll be going through something. He said, boy, that ain't nothing but God, you know. And so that day, I didn't, I didn't do it, but I sat there and I went and I drove some more and I just listened to music. And then I ended up going home. And then, of course, a couple months later, I ended up telling my homeboy, bro, you saved my life and you don't even know. And he was like, what you mean? And I told him. And he said, man, that wasn't nothing but God. Like, you do it to me, like you do it to me, every so often, you'll call out the blue when I'm feeling away or wanting to go do something. And then, man, we just chop it up and laugh. And whatever I'm feeling goes away. And I said, bro, you don't understand like how you saved my life. Like I was ready to give up. I just had so much on my plate. And I've never been that type of person. Like, I don't get down like that. I've never thought about killing myself. But I don't, it was just so much overcame me. I had issues with my siblings. My father, to this day, he has expectations on my life. He says that I'm his Joseph. And if you know the story of Joseph, Joseph was hated by his siblings, but he saved his family. And that's literally me, what I go through. And my father says I'm his Joseph and I'm going to save his family, And so I had that pressure, then some other personal things, I'm dealing with, then some work things. And it was just like, it all became one big dark cloud. And I'm always that person that I don't say much. I'll keep pushing through. I'll keep pushing through. No matter what's pissing me off, no matter what's frustrating me, I keep pushing through and I keep striving and I keep going and I keep going. And then eventually, weight is off, But for whatever moment, it didn't feel like that weight was going nowhere, And people deal with that daily. And they need to hear people overcoming that. They need to hear about what everybody or others have done to not go back down that road again or to even come out that, But like I say, man, I've been through a lot, in my life and, with dealing with just some of my life choices, and things like that, man. But that's the main reason for this podcast. That's the main reason for MooreLife, the MooreLife podcast, man, because I'm focusing on life, daily on how we can achieve, motivate, inspire each other, achieve our goals, motivate and inspire one another, and just being great in our world, not no one else's, not living up to anybody's level of success, their definition of what success looks like, or what being great looks like, but our definition of being successful, our definition of being great. You know what I'm saying? And when you can live up to who you are and who you believe you are, it's different because it's a better feeling for you. So yeah, that's the reason why MooreLife Podcast is here. And this is just who I am. I'm Emmanuel Moore, certified life coach, certified in trauma-informed care. And with that, trauma-informed care, I didn't understand it at one point at all. Depression, none of that, right? And I needed to, because I had to understand that a lot of us have experienced trauma. A lot of us have been through hell, but we didn't know what it was, especially African-American men and women, growing up in the neighborhood where you had gangs, you had drugs, you had shootings and killings and all that mess. That's trauma. That's PTSD. You waking up in the middle of the night because you heard gunshots. You waking up in the middle of the night because you hearing your mom and dad arguing, fussing, fighting, and throwing things. You know, you walking to school and you seeing people get jumped, or you walking to school, or you going to school and somebody's stealing your backpack or stealing your jacket, you know, things like that. Or, you know, you have addicts in your family. So they're coming in and they're stealing your things and selling it for, you know, for their next hit and things like that. That's all a part of trauma that we've experienced, you know, and we have to be honest with ourselves and say, hey, I've experienced trauma, but it's okay because I'm getting help for it and I'm going to grow through it. And it's going to make me better than holding on to past hurt, to past pain, to past trauma, maybe from your mom, maybe from your dad, maybe from some siblings, maybe from some family members, or maybe from something that has happened in your community or household, and you're holding on to that. Now you're learning how to live and let that go and not let it be a burden on you anymore. So I will be bringing some people on in these next couple episodes talking about, you know, life, of course, how they made it out, where they are with their respective professions, their respective businesses, and, you know, what they're doing for the community and things like that. So, you know, be on the lookout for that. That'll be coming. But yeah, this is just my podcast of letting you know who I am. 37 years old, man, trying to just get it right day by day. I make mistakes. I live and I grow from them. I'm a father. I'm a minister. I'm a husband. I'm a friend. I'm an uncle. I'm a cousin. I'm a brother. I'm a son. You know, I'm all that everybody is. And I'm not perfect. But I live to be better every day. And this is why we are here. I want to be able to motivate and inspire my people, family, friends, strangers, just be a voice to the voiceless, to help them have their voice, to help them believe in themselves, to help them know that this is not the end, that this is not it. So yeah, you guys, man, continue to check out my podcast. I have some more coming. My next episodes will be focused on family trauma. And what I mean by that is, what is the word? We used to go by kissing cousins, you know, dealing with molestation and things like that. So that'll be one of my next episodes that we're going to talk about. Then I have a couple guests on a few other episodes, but we're going to keep pushing these things out. I appreciate you guys for tuning in when you will listen to it. I appreciate you guys for supporting me. And as always, give me feedback, give me questions, you know, whatever you want me to speak about, hit me up. I hope, you know, hearing part of my story, because I didn't give you everything, of course, but just hearing part of my story and what I've experienced will help you, you know, going up, helping you deal with whatever it is you're going through. So with that, man, y'all be safe. Y'all be breezy. And until next time.